Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Masters of Assetto Corsa Competizione, this time race number 6 from the beautiful Nordschleife in Germany. Let me just check everything. Yes, you should be able to hear the cars and you should be able to hear me. That's wonderful. My name is Alex and I will be your commentator for today, for the final race of this season also. If I haven't mentioned that in the first 2 sentences today, the qualifying session, contrary to our usual standard, is already running since 1 hour, and now we're just gonna take a look at the last 15 minutes of it basically. At the moment we have 16 drivers on grid, maybe some more will be joining. One information is important for you, that basically I can only discern the yellow flags from the map at the moment, because the software does show everybody as yellow here. But before we take a closer look there, we are going to take a look at the standings. Where are they? Here they are at the standings, and we jump straight to this wonderful overview that we took a look at for the last weeks already. So race number 6, Damian Konchik still. If I take a look here, this is basically it's not a strike is bowling, but he won all the races so far. Mikolaj Dosch in P2, Nico Weltmann in P3 again. I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he gained 1 position from last week's 3rd place. No, sorry, last week's 2nd place, and Dario Brems lost the position to him. So at the moment Dario Brems off the podium, and also let me just check, I also don't see him on the server, so that should be the podium for Weltmann. I mean, there should be. I don't think there really is a chance here, but let's see what happens in the race. Then Adam Sharpie disqualified or withdrew from the race in P5, and that already solves one of the situations here. So Adrian Marcinak definitely gaining a position, Horacio Messina as well, even though he did not start in the last race, but I saw him on the server already. But that basically is one of the tightest groupings that we have here, the 52 points of Adrian Marcinak and Horacio Messina. And then the rest is kind of Andrej Bacek still with 36 points, and Federico Calgaro. I'm just checking Calgaro, I don't see him on the server. And also Bacek, I don't think I see him. No, I also don't see him on the server. So let's head over to the standings of the amateur drivers. There was a bit more movement. Simone Messina in P1, Pierre Cajot in P2, Salvatore Francavilla again, I think, in P3. No, not again, but he gained 3 positions, finishing in 3rd place last week. And then behind we have Luca Carrozzo in P4, Marek Sperl in P5, Eric Griffith in P6, and Tom Brunel in P7. And there's also a little bit more of a closer group between Sparrow, Griffith and Brunel. So let's keep our eyes open to see what happens in the race today. Giuseppe Messina in P8, then Jack Barnett in P9, Marinko Pavlovic in P10. This is, I think, one of the few positions that did not change. Now he lost a position. It was Jason Yanis that did not have any position change. And then there is Chris Gertman in P12. Theoretically, at least on my sheet he is, but apparently not really. And then we also had Stefan Mihai, who joined for the last race and then withdrew immediately, but jumped to P12. So let's take a look at the qualifying now. You can see the cars passing in the background already, so I bet you are eager to see what is going on. So currently, let me just close this to save some space. Currently we have Damian Koncik unexpectedly, of course expectedly, in P1 with 8 minutes 12. Behind him we have Benjamin Eck, who's joining us again today with 8 minutes 15, and quite close behind him we have Nico Weltmann in P3, also with an 8 minutes 15, but a gap of 7/10. Nikolai Dosch in P4, Pierre Cajot in P5 at the moment, and then Marciniak in P6. Actually, yeah, Marciniak, but there's a bit of a bigger gap between Cajot and Marciniak. Marciniak, Messina and Dario Brems are all 8 minutes 19 times. Then we have Simone Messina with 8 minutes 21. And then Stu Rogers, 8 minutes 24. And let's see what happens here. I think that's a rough overview. Yeah, the race today will be 90 minutes. I don't think I mentioned that before, with a mandatory pit stop. And I hope not so many crashes. And I hope I will not miss crashes if they happen, because as I mentioned earlier already, the yellow flag situation is a bit bugged in my broadcasting software on the Nordschleife, so I can only discern the actual yellow card from the in-game map if I spot it on time. Because basically the race control tells me that everything is yellow all the time, which is kind of funny, but it's a bit distracting as well. So Luca Carrozzo here, I was just about to say, with 2 seconds. I'm not sure if that lap was actually still valid. Let's maybe take a closer look here. It looks like it could. No, this should not. This should definitely not be a valid lap anymore. Just in case. Yeah, he also returned to the pits now. So let's see. The 913 car is Damian Koncik here, almost on the Döttinger Höhe. Now trying to carry as much speed into the long straight all the way down. Currently 1 minute, 1 minute of delta would have been crazy. 1 second of time improvement on the clock. I need to kind of structure my table for a second here. There's all these papers, and I have a map, a wonderful map coming into Antonius Bucher now, and then into Tiergarten. Tiergarten, what I learned today is that in the Second World War the animals that died were buried there, and that's why it's called the Tiergarten. I mean, that's why they call the area Tiergarten. So now it looks like 1 second, 1.3 seconds of time improvement for Koncik there. 8 minutes 11.5. So then Nico Weltmann also still on a valid lap here. Well, this is the how do I say this? Is it called the streamers jinx? No, how do you call it? Ah, it is. I feel like I have a negative influence on the stream. So well then. Sorry, we're still watching the replay, that's why you cannot see the map. So let's see who else is on a valid lap that we can possibly ruin. Let's see. Sorry. It's just like twice I click to see what's going on, and twice the people crash within seconds. So we have Benjamin Eck. I'm just trying to figure out where he is. Yeah, this is the... should be... We are, yeah. I think my map is upside down. The map that I have printed out and the map that is in-game is like upside down. I think, yeah, now I think we know. Yeah, okay, this is closer to Tal. Okay, coming up for the carousel. I mean, I have a good sense of orientation, but that was a bit confusing. Oh yeah, now into the carousel, now coming up for the most tricky part of the track. If someone is in the chat, please let me know if the sound is okay. Yeah, coming up into Tor 8 and all this. Wait, let's take a look at these tight corner combinations here. Basically alternating between third and fourth gear. Sound is okay, thank you. Are there some new graffitis on the track? Was there an update? Now into YouTube corner hero Bunchen. Or maybe I just haven't paid attention lately, but completely casual driving. 8 minutes 11. Yeah, now coming up to Schwalbenschwanz. Almost at the end of the track now. And stopping on track. Stopping on track, so maybe for the stream I will not find anyone that actually finishes the lap anymore. Now we can take a look. Giuseppe Messina here, that is at least finishing a lap, but I cannot really discern any delta. But all the cars that are on track right now at least are shown invalid on the map. I think I have to reduce the gain of my microphone just a little bit. I see it clipping in the corner of my eye. Yeah, like this is... yeah, there we are. That actually did look like a valid lap for Messina, because I just saw him change position. He is in P13 now. So from what it looks like now, Pierre Cajot will be the P1 starter for this race. Simone Messina is in P2 for the AM driver. Tom Brunel will start in P3. And if he manages to hold on to that position, that should gain him some positions in the overall standing as well. So this could at least be P4 if he manages to stay in front of Carrozzo. No, that's not going to be enough. So it's going to be P5. Because the gap to Carrozzo is too high. The gap to Carrozzo is more than 20 points, something like that. Carrozzo in P4, Giuseppe Messina in P5 for the M driver. Van Couwenberg, who I haven't seen on track at all this season. I should have seen him in race 4 from my data here. And then we have Özmer. Mevutkan Özmer. I think I also have never seen him on track. What's the car number? The car number is 64. And he's doing donuts in the pit lane. To be fair, I'm not even sure if he's registered anywhere. Because I don't see him on my sheets, but that can be a mistake in my files. So we're getting ready for the race. Outside temperature is 29 degrees. The track is 38 degrees. For now it doesn't look like rain, which is surprising because in the last 3 races it was raining. Yeah, and now this is the session over with Marciniak crossing the start and finish line. I called this car the Glossy Boy the last time because you can see the livery is a bit unusually reflective compared to the others. I don't see people use that setting a lot, that's why. Glossy Boy is the name. So let's see, 3 minutes of preparation before the race start now. Obviously for the Nordschleife we're not gonna have a full formation lap. Only the short starting procedure, which obviously makes sense because the car is rolling around the track without disabling the pit limiter. No, that's not what I wanted to say. Without actually driving quick, it just takes ages, and there's no need to do that preparation in a normal race for entertainment and also for sim racing. So let's see if we find a better view here. Not really. We could go into the helicam. On the right column in the P1 is Benjamin Eck. In the left column P2 is Nico Weltmann. Then we have Nikolai Dosch starting in P3. Of the pro drivers we have Pierre Cajot, the white AMG there, in P4. That is also the P1 of the M driver. Then we have Horacio Messina in the Ford, the blue, white and a bit of yellow Ford there in P5. Then we have Marciniak, the glossy car, that BMW in P6. Dario Brems, the black Ferrari there in P7. Then we have the P2 of the amateur drivers. Simone Messina, the only Bentley on track. Yes, the only Bentley on track. We have Stu Rogers. And then in P9 we have Stu Rogers. We have Tom Brunel starting in P10. That is P3 of the M drivers. Then we have Luca Carrozzo in P11. Giuseppe Messina P12. Van Couwenberg in P13. Then we have the newcomer Mevutkan Özmer in P14. Then Konchik in the back of the grid now for some reason. And then we have Andrei Bacek just joined the server now in P16. And I am happy that the Dosch official fan club is on board. Let me know if you enjoy it. Yeah, so Andrei Bacek definitely just joined the race here, and what I find very interesting is that Damian Konchik is starting from the back, because I just saw him qualifying very high and now he's all the way in the back of the grid. So then we are getting ready, just driving the last 2 kilometers. Then there's Giuseppe Messina in the pit lane, starting from the pit lane today. Another little change of plan, I would say. Maybe just forgot to adapt the fuel from the qualifying session to the race session. That can be a reason why you would be in the pits now. Obviously you can see the drivers warming up their tires and also holding the brakes to get some temperature into the brakes, because the proper starting pressures in the tires is quite important. And now also the run up is only quick, very short is what I'm saying. So let's get ready for this 1.5 hour race on the Nordschleife, organized by Formula Racing League on SimGrid. I seem to never get this timing properly, that I actually say that in the beginning of the race, but I guess let's go. In the helicam again, of course, Benjamin Weck is taking the lead immediately, trying to discourage Veltman from making a pass there. Now the positions are a bit scrambled there. I can see Pierre Cajot in P3, and let's take a look here. Pierre Cajot in P3, then we have Horacio Messina and Marciniak, I think, no? Battling there behind. Yeah, it is Marciniak, and my software seems to recover just a little bit here. Sorry for that. There is something off. Konchik has already gained 5 positions in the beginning of the race. Nikolai Dosh lost the position. Marciniak right behind him. Giuseppe Messina now coming out of the pits, right on the back, but probably that is the safer way on the Nordschleife. Let's hope that everybody survives this first lap here. At the moment still on the Competizione. And now coming into Sabina Schmidt's Kurve, and this will be the first time we see the cars heading out to the track, also the highest part of the track, the highest elevation. I'm not too happy with this helicopter cam, because we can see Cajot falling behind a little bit between Veltman and Veltman and Eck in the front. I'm just gonna click through the back of the grid a bit. This is Dario Brems here in the Ferrari, in the black Ferrari. Simone Messina also there. Konchik now already with 6 positions. Yeah, Pierre Cajot immediately pushing pressure onto the leaders. Marciniak also very close to Dosh. Dosh in front with a green insect-like car. Green warning colors. Yeah, Dario Brems has managed to pass Messina in the back. We're gonna stay with Marciniak here for a bit. And Konchik now obviously looking to pass Messina. I think this should be Fuchsröhre, yeah, coming out of Fuchsröhre now. I was pushing him around the corner there. That is very, very close racing. Dosh so far able to hold his position. We're going to jump back to Konchik. Almost a third of the track done already. Now obviously Konchik is looking for a safe place to pass because technically speaking the chance that you take out both drivers is quite high. That was a bit of a, looked a little bit like a collision here, but as I said earlier, I cannot see yellow flags at the moment. Yeah, Konchik managed to pass Messina now. I'm sorry we've missed that. And there's also Bacek here in the back. I just started to remember now why there was something strange with the Nordschleife already with the commentary last time. It's because the broadcasting software does not really work here. Which I am realizing again now, but it's going to be fine. Yeah, Cajot at the moment a little bit losing the connection to the two leaders there. Oh, that looks like Dario Brems on the outside up to the carousel and almost gaining the position on Merchniak. Difficult to tell. Yes, and he manages to make it stick on the outside up to the carousel. That was quite impressive actually. On the grass a little bit on the outside with the outside tires. I would not be surprised at all if Konchik manages to catch the race leaders at some point. But I think starting from the back for 1.5 hour race is quite reasonable. I think it should be possible. Messina in the back has also caught up to Özmer. Konchik now behind Horacio Messina after overtaking Simone Messina. Esmer here now falling back and Messina passed him. Whoa. Franzgarten 1. A bit of trouble there now coming up for Franzgarten 2 for the second jump any second, and then there is Giuseppe Messina in the grass. Let's see what happened there. Just too much curb with the front tires, and that's why the rear was spinning out there. Very unfortunate. As soon as the replay is over, yeah, we're gonna go back to Marciniak, who's trying to gain back the position that he just lost before the carousel. That can be quite tight. Let's change to the Helicam. Both of them holding a nice, comfortable distance from each other there. Not using the side draft, even though I'm not sure if that's a thing in the game. And we can immediately go to the top speed comparison of the two. I think I'm not gonna see it there, but it is quite obvious that at least for now the BMW of Marciniak gains the position. Yeah. so that was 1 lap of battling, and now we have the first lap time coming in. Benjamin Eck with 8 minutes 20, the purple lap for now. There's Gonchik on the outside in the Audi, gaining another position by passing Horacio Messina. And we just saw Andrej Vacek return to the pits and then leaving the server, if I saw that correctly. So we already lost, after the first lap we already lost a driver, but to be fair with Vacek, I'm not surprised because that is usually how it works. And we still have this group quite close together, Messina, Horacio Messina, Gonchik and Brems, that we are taking a look at now. Messina in the back here, and then there's Gonchik slowly catching up to Dario Brems and Merciniak, who are fiercely battling again. But now there's Gonchik that might have to say a word in that, but usually one is profiting when the two in front are fighting. And sometimes it's the person in the rear. You can see he had a much better exit there, but pulls back before the chicane and almost gets taken out by Horacio Messina. So now for the second lap on the Nordschleife, on the right side of your screen. On the map you can already see that the field is spreading out a little bit, and it's going to spread more and more in the next 1 hour and 20 minutes. So let's see what the solution will be here, and if that will actually disrupt the fight between Brems and Marciniak a little bit. Brems, the black Ferrari here, and Marciniak, the glossy BMW in the front. And then we have the leader of the whole thing, I mean not the leader of the whole thing, the leader of the overall standing, Damian Gonchik, that is started in the grids today, in the not in the pit, sorry, started in the back of the grid. My brain just made a combination of starting in the back of the grid and starting in the pits, and it became started in the grids. Well, well, well. Oh, that was a slide there, and not looking for the outside in Arenberg. I will take another look at that slide, to be fair. Even though I just saw that Marciniak lost positions. Probably it will be on the display here. So Gonchik definitely passed Marciniak. Sorry, I was a bit too excited to take a look at that slide, because he caught that quite well, Dario Brems. And now definitely Gonchik passed both of them. Marciniak in the BMW is in front of Brems in the Ferrari. Yeah, Grenays, for writing in the chat, the quality is okay because it's limited by my upload and also by what the YouTube processes. And you can especially see it when I change to the helicopter cam and when there's a lot of leaves in the foreground especially. But then the stream quality just completely breaks down, because you can see it now, because the YouTube algorithm is not optimized for this kind of video transmission where everything is changing all the time. Just so you know. And Nico Weltmann actually managed to come within half a second of Benjamin Eck, so that is the battle for P2 now. And there's already someone. Oh, I just thought there was a blue flag, but I was just not accustomed to the livery of Benjamin Eck, because I think he had another one the last time I saw him. Yeah, Weltmann now down to 3/10 of gap, right before Mutkurve, and both of them carefully getting around it. Mutkurve in German is basically the courage. The translation would be the courage corner. So, yeah, you need a lot of courage to go around that corner flat out, regardless if it is in a simulator or in real life. We have another yellow flag, but that was in the back of the grid. I also didn't see the car number so quickly, so I guess that's gonna be fine. Now the gap opening up between Eck and Veldman again. Almost back to 1 second. And I swear some of the drawings on track are new. Or I just didn't, I never paid attention to them before, but you don't really see them when you're driving the car. That could also be the case. Now, through Brünchen, coming up for Pflanzkarten 1, the little jump there. In real life, the tarmac got a bit reworked there, so that some of the drivers are making a little adjustment right after landing there, and that is Pflanzkarten 2. Now heading down straight towards the camping grounds, basically. And to Schwalbenschwanz, so the so-called swallow's tail. Swallow the bird, it just looks like that on the map, and that's why it's called like that. And now coming up to Galgenkopf. Galgen is I think it's gallow. I think gallow is the English word, because the local, I don't know what the local ruler for quite a while. The local ruler quite a while ago had the gallows standing up there on the hill and used to hang the people there. That's why it's called Galgenkopf, so the gallows head. Stu Rogers now on Döttinger Höhe, closing up to Brunel. Stu Rogers, the only pro driver that is in the middle of the M drivers anymore. But I think that also for the beginning of this race, the two classes were a little bit separated. For the people that are joining us freshly, you can see on the left side of your screen there's the red and the white number plates, and the red number plates are the amateur drivers, and the white number plates are the pro drivers, and they tend to have different times on tracks and a little bit of different driving skills, but they're all racing on the same server on different races. As an update, Konchik just set a new quickest lap with an 8 minutes 18.5. That's the fresh purple lap for this race. Well, that is Stu Rogers following Tom Brunel. I'll keep an eye on that, but we have Konchik closing, Damian Konchik closing up to Dosch with a bit of a sliding rear there. Konchik, just for your information, has already gained 10 positions because he is coming from the back of the grid, but also he is the quickest driver overall in this league. He won literally all the races that he has taken part in this season, so There's not too much to lose. Yeah, well, almost taking out another driver there. I think that it looked a little bit like a miscommunication because Dosh also was unusually wide in the corner. Now down into Hatzenbach also. Basically the first very tricky section of the track. Now coming up to Flugplatz in a second. Flugplatz not because it literally says the flying place. People usually mistake this little bump there for Flugplatz, but on the left side of the track there was an actual a little airport for sail gliders or however they're called, and that's why the place is called Flugplatz. It has nothing to do with potentially flying cars. Yeah, and that is the pass done by Konchik. 3 more places to go until the battle for P1. So Stu Rogers also passed Brunel here, and then we have Dario Brems, who looks like has a bit of a damaged car. At least the rear of it is damaged. I have no idea what happened there, but that is how you say, expectable? Yeah, I think it is expectable in on the Nordschleife. So this is already Werseifen, the slowest part of the track actually. And now into Breitscheid, which is the village here that you can see. Oh, you cannot really see it in the background, but there's a village, and also that is the lowest point of the track, and now it goes all the way up in this high-speed section into the corner that is coming up here that Niki Lauda crashed. I don't know the year, to be fair, but I think I have it somewhere here. Yeah, in 1976 Lauda crashed in that corner. Oh, Weltmann and Eck almost side by side. Ay. What happened there? I just saw from the corner of my eye, I just saw that the gap went down to 0. Let's take a look. Weltmann looking for the inside, and then both of them. Eck with a little bit of, I don't know, hard to tell. Maybe a little bit overconfident, but things like this happen, and I think I don't think the car actually got too damaged. Cajot now maybe able to close the gap. We're probably gonna see on Döttinger Höhe how the car is gonna handle off Benjamin Eck now. It does have some scratches on the side and the back. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we can just maybe, when Eck is on Döttinger Höhe, we can make a comparison to the maximum speed he had in the last lap. The maximum speed, actually Tom Brunel was the quickest on Döttinger Höhe with 288 kilometers per hour. All the other cars usually are only around 180. Now we're gonna take a close look at the top speed now, how bad the damage to the car is. I already see him. see Egg losing a bit of time. I don't know how major it is, but the car seems to be a little bit unstable as well, so maybe that actually might be a reason to go into the pits now already. We can also take a look, so 8 minutes 19.3 was the last lap. But he manages to close the gap down a little bit now, 61. Oh, Brunel now with a bit of a crash there. Just take a little look how bad it is. It looks fine. And now let's jump back straight to X. So the last time we said the maximum speed was 280 kilometers per hour. Now maybe let's see what top speed he will reach now. That's also why I switched the layout a little bit for you. So on the bottom right you should, no, you're not able to see because there's the overlay, but usually the maximum speed is on the downhill section here. 273, 74, 75, 76. Now hitting the 280 for a second, so top speed should not be the issue. And now I switch back to the broadcasting view for you. And is he coming into the pits? No, he continues driving, okay. Yeah, it's 2 seconds slower than the last lap, but there was probably just a little contact there. Cajot now also, sorry, not Cajot, Konchik now again with a new purple lap, 8 minutes 17.6. Has a gap of 3.3 seconds to Cajot, so that is probably what we're gonna watch out for next. Brunel now also finishing his lap. 8 minutes 31.8 was the last lap, so let's see how much time he lost there. But actually the car does not look too scratched up. Yeah, that was 1 second slower than the last lap, so no major. That does not look like a major incident. Yeah, now let's watch the hunt of Damian Konchik hunting down Cajot. He is already in P3 because Cajot is in another category. I think that's the right word, sorry. My English today is a little bit of a mess. Actually, I feel like I'm saying that every stream. Now into Sabine Schmidt's Kurve. Sabine Schmitz was a very famous driver on the Nordschleife. Lady driver. I don't know if you have to specify it in English, but I think you should. There's Van Kouwenberg is also in the pits, and we also saw Giuseppe Messina on the left side of your screen. You can see that there's the green symbol next to the name already, denoting the fact that Messina was in the pits, so he has done his mandatory pit stop. And now he's driving another 1 hour stint on the same tires, basically. Carrozzo is also standing in the pits, but the software is not showing that he is in the pits. Only showing me that is a little bit. No, they just drive the same car. That's why, and the livery might not be loaded properly. So that's the same. Konchik managed to close the gap to Cajot already, and I'm gonna take you into the screaming Audi for a second to just show you the tight conditions here. It might get a little bit louder here for a second. Carrozzo disqualified. Oi, oi, oi. Carrozzo disqualified. I would assume, because I saw him in the pits, that he might have been driving backwards in the pits or something like that. Or he came into the pits massively too quick, and now Ponchik is directly behind Cajot, looking for a safe place to overtake. Now into hit corner, hitting the first, missing the first apex, hitting the second, and missing the last one. Sorry, that was just too much happening at the same time, and that's how quickly Ponchik is past Cajot. What I wanted to say is it's the miss hit miss corner, not just the other way around, hit miss hit. Ah! Now I'm confused. It's the miss hit miss corner. Yeah, you miss the first apex, you hit the second apex, and then you miss the third apex again. We're gonna change perspective to Benjamin Eck, who managed to catch up to Veltman again, and now Ponchik in P3 has a 5.4 seconds gap to the both of them, so I would assume that he is going to catch up to them also. Probably not by the end of this lap, but by the end of next lap, I'm quite certain actually. Now that was the first time that they that Eck and Veltman were not close together in Moedkurve. So, but that actually, that Carrozzo is disqualified should be good news for Tom. But I still don't think it's gonna be enough. Oh no, I don't think so. Because I think the points difference between P3 and now P6 in the M category or in the overall pointing system will not be enough to close the gap of 20 points between Brunel and Carrozzo. No, I don't think so. A bit less than an hour to go. I might actually inquire what happened to Carrozzo. So now let me see. Try to inquire what happened. And I'll check later if I get an answer. And now we can see Eck and Veltman fighting again on Döttinger. Sorry, I didn't know that this was going on in the background while I had Discord open, and now this is Eck taking the lead again. Ah, sorry, I missed the action for you. Unfortunate, but I wanted to find out what happened. Maybe I'll get the information for you later. And now this is Weltmann again, taking the lead. So there's a wonderful battle going on between P1 and P2. And Končík only 1 second, almost half a second quicker than the two in front. So that means between 2 seconds and half a second, depending on who you look at. But that means it will take at least another 4 laps at this pace. I would say 3 laps at this pace until Končík will actually join the battle for the podium. Now, and Marciniak is coming into the pits now. He came into the pits from P4, if I'm not mistaken, so Dosh now in P4 of the pro drivers. Of course, we'll have to see what happens after the pit stop of Marciniak / after Dosh, but for now that is P4. It appears that the damage to X car is not as major as it could be. Is Marciniak already out of the pits? That was very quick. Yeah, no, but 40 seconds stopped in the pits. So apparently that is fine. So now, especially with Končík coming up behind them, Eck and Weltmann might be very focused on just staying clean and consistent, because otherwise there's a high chance that they will lose both of their positions on the podium. Generally, I feel like I'm saying this every race, but it's always more about consistency and the risk management, especially on the Nordschleife. Now coming out of Fuchsröhre, so basically I think it's also is usually called foxhole. The name originated from a fox that was hiding in a little Röhre, which is a tube, while they were constructing the racetrack, and that's why they called this section the Fuchsröhre, the fox tube, basically. Foxhole is, I don't think it's not the literal translation from the German. I mean, I know it's not the literal translation. You can already hear the screaming Audi of Končík in the background, so that's P3 closing the gap very quickly now. 2.9 seconds left. Overall, now it kind of became an endurance race. I see a lot of gaps that are over 10 seconds already. And Messina, unfortunately, again with the yellow flag here. We can take a little look there. Ah, that is definitely a completely damaged car. Let's see what his decision is, if he's going to return to the pits or he's going to continue the drive. I think at this point it kind of makes sense to continue, because it's just the Döttinger Höhe left. So I think he will actually drive back to the pits. And also Eck lost some time now. About half a second lost, and Konchik obviously now is half a second closer than he was before. I was like, oh, how did that happen? So now we have P1 Veldman, P2 Eck, and P3 Konchik, all within 6 seconds. No, more like 4 seconds actually. Yeah, Konchik started from the back of the grid, gained 12 positions now in 4 laps. I'm gonna give you the screaming Audi again. Gonna be a bit louder in a second. Which is also a very nice car to listen to actually. Into Franzgarten 1 and then coming up Franzgarten 2, the second little jump here. And now, during the last 24-hour race, Max Verstappen went off track a little bit because he got some airtime on his front tires. Maybe you've seen the clip. So it took 40 minutes of racing for Konchik to catch up with the 2 leaders of the race. Now let's see who gets the better exit onto the Döttinger here. Not sure if from this perspective you can actually see the castle. Yeah, on the right side you can see the castle. The Nürburg. Gap between Konchik and Eck is now below 1 second, half a second. I think this is not going to be enough, not yet, to overtake, or is it? No. No. But maybe now on the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix Strecke. The GP circuit, I think is the proper English saying. So now the exit not significantly different to attack in the Goodyear corner, but just a bit of a different line there. Into Michael Schumacher as Schumacher. But I can see Eck a little bit struggling there. It almost looked a little bit like an off track. And Konchik looking for the inside, giving him the space for now, but now a little bit defensive. In the Ravenel corner, no, it was the Bilstein corner. And now up to the chicane, side by side. Both of them. And Eck manages to maintain the position now, heading onto the Nordschleife. And he is losing time to Veldman, so Veldman now has the chance to gain some time there. And we're gonna go back into the passenger view. So that is the battle for P2 after after 45 minutes. Oh, with a big miss up there by Konchik, setting him back over half a second. The rear sliding a bit too much curve. I generally have the feeling that the setup is quite stiff for the Nordschleife. It feels a bit overly aggressive, but it could also just be the Audi. And just a slight tap on the brakes there to get around that corner. Quite early looking for the apex there. Surprisingly, usually you stay a little bit, one stays a little bit more outside now into the mentioned Fuchskurve from last time. And also here on the left side in the game we're still taking the curb, but in real life taking that curb there on the left would upset your car and probably also break your suspension. So now Metzgersfeld, also quite a difficult corner to get right, and then coming up with Spiegelkurve. Spiegelkurve is called mirror corner because the drivers used to, there were hedgerows planted along the track before, and they usually would lose their mirrors there because they would pass this hedgerow so close. And now again, miss corner. See very nicely. Hitting the apex there by Konchik. Last lap, by the way, was 8 minutes 15. Also here a corner with quite some negative camber, or some negative camber that constantly wants to carry you into the barrier. To be honest, I never really managed to get that corner right. Into this final upper section, who's able to carry the most amount of speed there. The exit looked a bit dirty by Konchik, so I don't really think that this is going to be an attack coming up here. Alright. Change camera view, Konchik for the inside there, and I think that is the pass. I cannot say anything because of the trees. Yeah, that is the pass completed, so P2 for Konchik. Now the next, you can see Weltmann in the front. That is the next victim. But let's keep an eye on Eck there. Maybe he will try to come back, or at least use the draft to, especially here in this difficult section now, and the most, to me at least, the most difficult section coming up. It is difficult to stay close by. And Dario Brems now also managed to close the gap to Stu Rogers. Oh, manages to keep it together as well. Well done. But already, or still with a damaged car, I'm not sure. I haven't seen him in the pits yet, so it is probably still a damaged car. It's very difficult to get that exit right, especially when you're very close together. There's Marciniak now also hunting down Brunel. into Hohe Acht. Ah no, sorry, before the Steilstrecke, before the carousel. And that is Marcinak also making the pass. While Dario Brems is still behind Stu Rogers. Marcinak was also in the pits quite early, so that's why he's basically working his way back to the front now. And I think that he was before in front of Dosh. So, some creative drive in there, or at least creative defending. I'm not sure if that was in the blocking move there. Taking another look. No, it was not. It was just not. It was just a collision. Collisions happen. That's okay. At least that's what I say. I mean, I'm not a steward, but that's what I would say if I would be a steward. Yeah. Eck now 1 second behind, and both of them, all three of them, Veltman, Konchik and Eck, are coming into the pit. So probably a quick reaction time by Konchik there, that he saw the drivers in front of him pitting. And interestingly, Cajot now takes the provisional lead in this race with 14 minutes to go, but of course once he is going to go for his pit stop, then he will be back in P4. So now let's take a look at who's gonna leave the pits first. Now this is Benjamin Eck leaving the pits first. Even though he probably had most of the damage, and that is Eck taking the lead after the pit stops, Veltman and then Konchik. So I wonder how Eck did that. Yeah, there's just it's the refueling time that is not fixed, I believe, and Veltman also with a stop and go penalty, 30 seconds. Oh, yeah. So that's definitely losing the podium for this race. Yeah, Eck only stopped for 23 seconds, while Veltman was stopped for 34 seconds and Konchik was stopped for 32 seconds. So that's the reason why Benjamin Eck is in the lead now. They still haven't crossed any of the time markers on track, if I see that correctly, and that's why your screen is wrong at the moment. Your screen is wrong. I don't know how to say it, but the game is not displaying the standings properly at the moment for you. It does for me though, and you can also see Benjamin Eck is entering the Nordschleife now, and then there's Veltman and Konchik entering the Nordschleife a few seconds later. To be fair, it is 7 seconds later. Oh, and that is Konchik already looking for the attack here, but we'll see. I don't want to make any. I don't make any predictions because that will just be the commentator's curse. Even though I feel like, apart from the qualifying where everybody crashed when I tried to look at them, this race was quite safe. Brunel now also in the pit, so there's only Cajot and Horacio Messina that still have to pit. You can see that on the left side there's a little orange field with a number 1 inside. These are the drivers that still have to pit. And something interesting that I would like to see now. Marciniak came out behind Dosh. but just 1.7 seconds behind him. So basically his strategy of pitting early did not work. So Marciniak here with a glossy BMW, 1.8 seconds behind the green insect of Mikolaj Dosh. A gap of 1.9 seconds. Let's see how that turns out in the last 35 minutes of the race. It's going to take a quick look at the standings between Marciniak and Dosh. Marciniak currently in P6 in the overall standing and Dosh in P2. But he also mentioned PC issues earlier on, so yeah, but anyway, there's no chance that Marciniak will still in some way alter the position. Yeah, he will only. Well, actually, the battle between Marciniak and Horacio Messina is quite interesting, because at the moment we have Horacio Messina in P2, but he has not pitted, so there's actually a decision to be made whether Horacio Messina ends up before or behind Marciniak. Does decide if one of them is P6 or P7. Oh, Konchik now also passed Veldman. I'm not sure if the gamble that Benjamin Eck took there is actually going to work out, because 23 seconds of stop time in the pits, that might not be enough fuel. He definitely did not repair, but you need to keep in mind that another lap on the Nordschleife is another lap of 8 minutes, more than 8 minutes. So I'm not sure if the gamble is actually gonna be well, and the gamble is actually gonna go well for Benjamin Eck. He has Veldman 1.3 seconds behind him and Konchik 4.5 seconds behind. This is not at all what my statistics say here. Okay, no, okay. Veldman is 1.5 seconds behind Konchik. Konchik is 4.4 seconds behind Eck. And Benjamin Eck is leading the race. Sorry for the confusion. Now we're gonna stay with Marciniak here, because he's rapidly closing the gap to Dosh. That's something that might be interesting for the Dosh fan club. That is the battle for the podium as well. That's not true, it's a battle for P4, sorry. Now here into Wippermann, also another fun fact, Wippermann is the corner that basically you go on the right and on the left curb, and basically, if you translate it literally, it would be the swing man, because you're swinging there, you're swinging the car from left to right, so that is Wippen, and then Wippermann is just like, I would say it's an old school version of this. That is Horacio Messina, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry, not Horacio. Giuseppe Messina that was standing there with a damaged car and just got passed by the leading group. Marcinac at the moment not able to sustain the speed necessary to catch up to Dosh, at least not in this section. If you look at the right side of your screen now, you can also see that after 1 hour of racing, the field is considerably spread out, but there have not been too many blue flags. Yes, there is not actually enough cars on track maybe to so overtakes constantly happen, and then Konchik has actually closed the gap to Eck and is now battling for the race lead. What also confuses me greatly is how Pierre Cajot now is suddenly in the lead, but this is also only on your screen because he is in P5 on my screen, and that is the correct position. Now Cajot is still leading the amateur category, but in P5, not in P1 as you can see on your screen. Close racing there again. Now into the chicane here and coming into the Nordschleife again for the 8th time. But to be fair, I have not seen any massive crashes today. So I just received the information why Luca Carotto got disqualified, and he said his pit limiter button failed to engage. And that's why basically he went into the pits way too quick. No, actually he didn't go into the pits way too quick, but then basically sped up too much when he was pushing the throttle again after engaging the pit limiter. And then if you're not incredibly quick, yeah, then you get disqualified. This is how it happens. Now Horacio Messina at the moment leading the race, technically speaking, but still needs to do his pit stop, so that's why. Konchik now had Benjamin Eck for breakfast and is now in the lead of the race after 1 hour and 3 minutes of racing and catching 13 positions. There's still the 14th position. Horacio Messina is still missing, but afterwards Marcinac and Dosh still keeping it interesting, actually. With a little bit of a drift there. For longer races, I should really reconsider my setup here, because basically I have a microphone attached to the front of my desk, and then I always have to lean forward, and now I just removed it from the table, leaned back a little bit, and sitting in my chair here commenting I mean, what is there to say? Marcinek basically lost another half second again, and then gains another half second again. But for now, is unable to catch up to Mikolaj Dosh, who probably is also sweating a little bit because he knows that he has his friends watching in the live stream, so he's gonna be fighting very hard. Konchik also last lap with a new best lap, 8 minutes 16. Narjo just gained a position here, but that is probably just a glitch in the... Oh, someone had a disconnect. Someone is missing, and it is Benjamin Eck had a disconnect. Oh, so Veltman now in P2 again, 8 seconds behind Konchik. Benjamin Eck there with the disconnect. Veltman with a stop and go penalty of 30 seconds, and Benjamin Eck with a disconnect. Yeah, because I see people gaining positions again and again, and Benjamin Eck is not on the server anymore, so he had a disconnect, and this is Konchik now also catching up to Horacio Messina, who has not been in the pits yet, which I also find surprising. Messina now not blue flag, but the smart thing would be to let Konchik pass him. And I think this is also what is going to happen now on the straight, on Döttinger. No, actually the Ford might be a little bit quicker here, or had the better exit. One of both. Technically from the speed trap it says the Audi is quicker. I don't really believe it, or that must have been the exit. Yeah, and that is Messina solving the situation by coming into the pits. It was time for it also. And then finally we'll have the actual positions in the standing figured out. Konchik now 8 minutes 14. Veltman 8 minutes 18. No, I don't know what the rules actually say. Probably Tom Brunel will already know the result, but I think DNF will not give you any points, and in that case, Brunel would take P4. I think. But I'm not 100% sure about that. And also after the pit stops I can see green numbers again. There is Mikolaj Dosh with 8 minutes 21.8. Marciniak behind with 8 minutes 22.4. Dario Brems behind Simone Messina with a 25.5. 8:25.5 of course. 20 minutes to go. And I also don't know what happened here, but Mikolaj Dosh, it was because of the pit stops. Yeah, so then we have a fresh battle for P3 for Mikolaj Dosh and between Mikolaj Dosh and Horacio Messina, and also Marciniak is right behind them. So that might actually get interesting again. I was not aware that this would happen after Messina would pit, but obviously that could be the case. And because Egg disconnected from the server now, there's a driver missing in front, and then obviously the battle for the podium is open again. Yeah, and that is Dosh behind Horacio Messina, heading into Foxhole. Now you can see how close it is there, and then Marciniak also right on their their heels, right on their toes. Wouldn't make any sense, wouldn't it? Veltman also still has to serve his penalty, so that might actually it will not really set him back too much now. At least not for losing another position, but if nothing unforeseen happens. But even after 1 hour and 15 minutes, there are still battles going on. Isn't that exciting? And then we have the three of them together. That's the battle for P3. Now also, obviously for Marciniak, that is motivating to see both of them fighting in front, possibly losing time. Oh no. Both of them heading up towards Mutkurve. All three of them actually, but I would just... Dosh and Messina are the ones we're focusing on at the moment. Dosh is the the green car in the back. It might be noticeable that here it's already 10:30. Both managed to negotiate Mutko very well. But I can imagine that the Dosh fan club is very happy about what's happening here. And probably also the Marciniak fan club, because everything is still open. Everything is still possible. A lot of pressure there. A lot of pressure there on Horacio Messina, and Dosh in the back with a little mistake. Oh, and that is Marciniak immediately looking for the overtake. Now Dosh under pressure. Coming into Franskat and one. Yeah, but the gap is getting bigger again, so now it stays exciting. It stays exciting. I think it's 2 more laps to go. We see that Kontchik will be passing the start-finish line now in a few seconds, so 2 more laps to go for everybody. Now Messina also lost time again, so Dosh, Messina and Marciniak in the same constellation as they were before. Now let's see who got the better exit and who has the higher top speed. Yeah, Benjamin, I saw you disconnect. That was unfortunate, but therefore we have this battle between Dosh, Marciniak and Messina, Horacio Messina. And they're battling for the podium now, so it is entertaining. Even though at least at the moment it looks like Marciniak cannot really keep up with both of them. But Horacio Messina under a lot of pressure here. So these are the 3 contenders. Yeah, I think for P2 it's not gonna be enough. Even though they just... Why the... I did that when I said earlier that it would not be enough for P2. I again did not calculate that the total time in pits would be 1 minute and 5 seconds for Veltman. So yes, you're absolutely right, Benjamin. It's a battle for P2 now. Dosh in P3 and Veltman in P6. P5 for the pro drivers. It literally happened in the moment that you wrote it in the chat. I'm taking another look at my spreadsheet here. Yeah, the positioning between Marciniak and Messina is important because that will determine their position if they are P6 or P7, possibly P5. Yeah, Adam Sharpie is not on the server today, so actually it will be P4. Oh, P5. Yeah, it's the battle between Marcinac and Messina. Whoever is in front will take P5 in the overall standing. So that's basically Marcinac in the back. Messina in the front means Messina will be P5. And Dosh is in the overall standing in P2, so there's no big discussion about that, or there's not going to be any change in the overall standing. But for the podium situation, that's still interesting, because now we see Dosh attacking for P2. Obviously super tricky to overtake on this track, especially in these narrow sections like Foxhole here. It's not just a narrow section, it's also a narrow high-speed section. And I don't know what the temperature at your home is at the moment, but here it is very warm at the moment. And we're gonna go to the passenger cam for a moment. It's gonna be a little bit louder. Uphill section looking for the good exit. Marcinac also now half a second behind. It looks a little bit like the better exit for. It looks like the better exit for Dosh, and now will he do the Max Verstappen? No, it's not enough of a good exit there for now. Looked like a little bit that he's gonna go on the grass on the right side. Also using all of the available track there. Good to see the three of them so close together there. I mean, I bet all three of them are sitting in their own sweat. I mean, depending on the air conditioning or the ventilation system that one has set up for the rig, but I don't see what's happening. This is sometimes really frustrating, but that's Marcinac there, aggressively looking for some space on a track where there is not much space. Half a second gap between all of them. And this is basically the almost last lap. The next lap is going to be the last lap. with Konchik now on Döttinger Höhe. And now again, looking for the exit. Looking for the speed on the straight. Oh, sorry. Not yet, sorry. Oh, wow. Oh. A little mistake by Messina there. So now looking for the exit and looking for the speed on the straight. Oh, no. Ah, and that's Dosh. Gonna take a little look at the replay here, but he just clipped the grass with the rear tires. And he had to brake a little bit, or he lifted off, and that's why the rear of the car lost grip. Ah. Okay, well, I think that shatters the hope for P3 of the Dosh fan club in the chat. But maybe Weltmann is gaining some hope there. You can see him in the background, 5 seconds behind. Okay, well, Marciniak lucky to not crash his car there. It's kind of safely avoided with a little bit of an off track, but I think that kind of, I would say that settles it. But anything can happen in a lap. I mean, there can still be crashes, so the race is not over yet. Last lap. The last lap is going on. I want to see who's the 28 car that is all the way. Van Kouwenberg is still quite on a fresh lap. But it is also going to be fine, I think. Yeah. Yeah, well then we stay with Marciniak and see if he manages to close the gap. I think he will be fighting. 2.9 seconds. Roger is in the pit. Maybe not. Maybe a fuel issue. Yeah, that looks a little bit like that, because why else would you come in 3 minutes before the end of the race? Also miscalculation there, but I don't think it even cost him a position yet. Anyways, he's in the back of the pro grid, so not a huge deal. Unfortunate, but not a huge deal. Yeah, also from the standing time, that only looked like 7 seconds of fuel, 42 seconds lost in total. Yeah, Marciniak actually slightly quicker now. I mean, he sees, Marciniak sees Messina in front of him. At least that's a motivation to hold on to. Even though Messina has proven his mental strength. My tongue is twisting a little bit after 1 hour and 15 minutes of streaming already. Oh no! Oh no! The commentator's curse! Oh no! I should not have said that. I should not have said that. Okay, let me just take a quick look. I'm sorry, the replay is not far enough back. Ah. So that is, first of all, we're still not in the real-time picture. Now we are in the real-time picture. First of all, that is Marciniak taking P2 in this race, but also taking P5 in the overall standing. If my calculation is right. But I'm not sure if my calculations are right, but I think it should be. Yo, Klepko, what's up? Yeah, but that is... I don't exactly know when the next season will be, but you can check Formula Racing League, FRL, on SimGrid. You can also see it in the middle of the streaming screen, and then you can do your registration there on the Discord, and you can join the next season, because this is the last race of the season. Klepko, I don't exactly know when the next season will start. Wonderful. Wonderful. Very good. So, Marciniak definitely the... how am I supposed to... The winner of this race, in a way. The winner by circumstances. Even though actually it's Gonchik, of course, but I would not I would be surprised if he wouldn't win this race as well, as he has won all the other races except race 4 that he didn't take part. So a round of applause. We can prepare a round of applause for Damien Gonchik, who's heading out on the Döttinger Höhe for the 10th time in this race. So now the last time coming into Tiergarten and Hohenrhein. And now, congratulations to Damien Gonchik for winning Formula Racing League Masters of Assetto Corsa Competizione season number 6. And then the next one coming in is Pierre Cajot, also winning, but in the amateur category. Sorry, he's not. He's winning the race, but he's not winning the amateur category. He is P2 in the amateur category overall. So also congratulations for P2 in the overall standings of the AM drivers to Pierre Cajot. Then we have Marciniak, who's coming in. A surprising P3 for Adrian Marciniak. That should give him P5 in the overall standing of the pro drivers. Even though I'm also not 100% sure about that calculation. And then behind him We have behind them directly, we have Horacio Messina, unfortunate P3 today. Even though P3 is not a bad stop. Dosh also unfortunate today with a crash. Almost in P3. And coming in next is Nico Weltmann, who is P3 in the overall standing of the pro drivers. Nikolai Dosh, overall standing P2. Wait, there he was already passing. Then we have Simone Messina, who is the winner of the amateur category of season number 6. There he is, flashing the lights. Dario Brems coming in next. Dario Brems also in the overall standing. I'm not sure, but I think it is P4. And then behind him, Stu Rogers still on the main straight with the Ford. Stu Rogers after this race, possibly in the P10s of the pro drivers. And then there's still Tom Brunel in the Lexus for multiple seasons in the Lexus. Now, also with the highest top speed on track, now crossing the start-finish line. And then there's Giuseppe Messina. All the Messinas today on grid, actually. Horacio Messina, Simone Messina, and the last one, Giuseppe Messina. If I'm not mistaken, also the oldest one of the three. I'm also getting a bit confused with the names. Yeah, Francavilla, also congratulations to you, of course. Even though you didn't race today, but nice to see you in the chat. So Messina now joining the group of people that are sitting in the pits, and we will have to wait a little bit for Kauenberg here. We're gonna watch him very closely. The time usually is 8 UK time, or how you say, 9 or 21 Central European time. Kauenberg is giving us a show there, but was about to say that might give us an early end of the stream, but Kauenberg with a heavily damaged car on the way back to the pits, coming into Ice Kurve. That is called Ice Kurve because in the moment that the weather conditions are a bit tricky, it gets very slippery there. Into the little jump here. Franzgarten 1 coming up to Franzgarten 2. Heading down towards the campsite into Schwalbenschwanz. And now one last time onto Döttinger Höhe, also for Van Kovenberg. Janne van Kovenberg from Belgium. Overall standing P15. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure to host this season of Masters of Assetto Corsa Competizione, organized by Formula Racing League on SimGrid again, and I hope to see you all for the next season. And with the last one passing the start-finish line, I say thank you very much, and until we meet again. Ciao, ciao.
Easy.